I'm Nigel, this is Millie, my little Jack Russell. She likes to help me bake. Today we're going to show you how to make banana bread. Now, this is a recipe that is quite simple, which was passed down to me by my mother and grandmother, Moo, who were both brought up in Africa, in South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Sierra Leone in West Africa. It's a very simple recipe, but there are a few twists, and some of the ingredients, as Millie will tell you, don't come from the UK but are sourced in Africa. And if you can't find them over here in your local supermarket, then there are substitutions. But if you can get hold of the originals, it does make the banana bread taste better. This measures out the amount of flour and sugar and ingredients. We've got another measurer, which is a handheld measurer, which is teaspoons and tablespoons. A whisk, which I use occasionally for whisking, but I like to use a mechanical whisk because they're quicker. These are quite useful for hitting little animals, particularly if you're brought up in Africa, because they do appear quite regularly and also used as a fly swat. So we've got a mixing bowl. Now, the first ingredient I would use is sugar. Now, I tend to keep the sugar in a container. To keep the flour and the sugar and everything dry, I use a tissue. This is the tissue, so I'll take the tissue out. Ah, I see, we've got someone in here. If I can introduce you, this is Sally. Now, Sally is a very tame banana snake, and they are also partial to rodents. So I'll just take Sally out. They grow to about 3 feet. This is a little one, so we'll put Sally over here because she likes to watch me when I'm making things. I don't know how she got into that container, but I'll have to secure it. Now, banana snakes, or snakes even, live for about 30 years, and they're very good pets because they're very friendly. They don't poison their prey. They do actually crush it. So I expect I may find a little crushed rodent somewhere. If you can just check the sugar, because I'm sure there'll be something. Oh yes, there is a rodent in here. Now, I don't think he's dead. This in fact is Roger. And Roger is Sally's mate. And Sally has a crush on Roger, but she doesn't kill him, she just crushes him occasionally and gives him a big hug. So anyway, they are partial to rodents, but in this case they're mates. So we've got Roger and Sally. I've measured out 180 grams of caster sugar, which goes into our mixing bowl, like so. Next, we need to have the eggs. Usually I use a guinea pig, in fact guinea fowl. It's not a guinea pig, it's a guinea fowl. Now that is a guinea fowl, and that comes from West Africa. She's laying on eggs. I don't have a name for her, but if you can find guinea fowl eggs, that's great, but if you can't, then there is a substitute. Pix's homegrown, free-range, organic eggs. And these are produced in Back Passage. In fact, sorry, I didn't mean that, it was Back Lane. And we have a number of chickens down there, which are Annie, through to Bessie and a few others, Madonna. The next ingredient is butter. The recipe actually says hippo butter. For those of you who haven't seen a hippo, this is a hippo. And we had pet hippos when we were in Sierra Leone. They are a dying breed, but hopefully they will be coming back. But did you know that hippo milk is pink? We used to call our pet hippo by using what is known as a hippo caller. Now this is a hippo caller, and old Hippo, Harry, as we named him, used to sit in the pond at the bottom of the lake, at the bottom of our garden, and in order to call him, we'd use the Hippo caller. Now that is the sound of a hippo. Usually upsets Millie, our dog. And so Harry Hippo would come running and we'd milk him. But as we don't have hippos in this country, we have to use ordinary butter. And it's 125 grams, goes into the bowl. Now, some people say you've got to mix that as it is, but I don't because I'm lazy. So instead of mixing it with my spatula, which is here, I put it in the microwave, which is over here. And usually, I turn the microwave on for about a minute. So we'll just leave that. While we're doing that, I'm going to measure out the flour. As we've got bananas that need a bit of Viagra, I'm going to use self-raising flour. So it's 225 grams of flour. Now into that, we put 2 teaspoons of baking powder. This is extra Viagra, so it gives it an extra lift. So don't put too much in, otherwise you'll have a surprise when you open the oven. Now the microwave, as you can hear, has finished, and hopefully the butter has melted. So the butter's melted, but the sugar hasn't. The next I'm going on to the flour. Now you have to check your flour very carefully before putting it into your bowl, because occasionally you do find a rodent. Mick the mouse managed to get in from my garage into the flour. So I often find him, he's a little nuisance actually, because he's so small and he can creep in between the gaps at the top of the flour and the bowl. So he'll go over here and he'll watch me. We now have the mix of the sugar and the butter, which we need to mix up before putting the eggs in. So I tend to use a electronic mixer, which is quite an old one, passed down to be my mother. These little things can fly off and hit you in the eye, which is not very pleasant, and there's blood everywhere, so it's health and safety say I have to wear goggles when I mix the mixture. So here we go. Give it a good old mix. Shouldn't take long, much quicker than a spatula. Now it's probably 2 to 3 eggs. I tend to use 3 eggs. So you break them in. So this lot goes in. And we give it another mix. It's best to use bananas that are about a week old, because they're all brown and they need a bit of Viagra. So they're all soft and they're bananas that people don't like to eat. Now, I've got 4 bananas here. I'm probably only going to use 3. There's one for one of the, probably for one of the my spectators over here. Ah, look, this is a banana spider. Probably not many of you have seen banana spiders. They do come from Brazil and they can be fairly poisonous. But Sammy, who's a pet spider, does like bananas and likes to hide in them. Now, when a year ago some bananas were delivered, I'm not saying that these bananas are a year old, but Sammy didn't like the delivery man, so he bit him. And because banana spiders are quite poisonous and they're Brazilian and they don't like Ocado drivers, they bit him quite hard and he's now in the graveyard. If we just put Sammy the spider over here, he can watch me. Sorry, I can't see anything with these goggles on. If your bananas are not ripe, then you need a hammer to smash them, like that. But As well, it's probably a good idea just to smash them beforehand, actually, before you peel them. And then you use a fork to smash them up, and then they go into the mix like so. We've got the mixer, so this all needs to be mixed in. Can't see a thing now. Here we go. So that's all mixing in very nicely. I'll just dispose of the old banana skins. Don't put them on the floor, because if you put them on the floor you're bound to slip up on them, and that's not very nice for anyone really. We need to add the flour, which is the Viagra that's going to make this cake rise, and this goes in with the banana mix and the eggs and the sugar. Now, be careful when you're doing this because it can go everywhere. Now, only takes a couple of minutes. Now if the mix is too, sorry, I'm trying to shout now. If the mix is too floury, then what we can do, and as we don't have any Hippo milk, we've got some oat milk. And this is the oat milk. I like oat milk because I'm trying to become vegetarian, and it's very good for you and quite creamy. So put a bit of oat milk in, just a couple of tablespoons, and we can whisk away again. Like so. That's that done. Just lift that over there. This is a non-stick baking tray. It's £2. It's not £2 in, it was £2 in weight once it's been cooked. But that's a £2 baking dish. And we have greaseproof paper, which is lined with butter. And we then pour the mixture, having taken the mixer off, into the baking tray with the greaseproof paper. Now this is where the spatula comes in useful once you've put them on the head, because that one was being a nuisance. Like so. Now because I'm fairly blind, I usually miss, which I think I've just done, miss the actual baking tray, so half of it's gone on to my chopping board. But that's alright, because I know that the little critters over there will probably have a good time, and I'll put that down there. And I know that old Sally likes to have a good lick of the banana mix. So now we have the baking tray full of the mix, banana cake mix. Now just to add a bit more to it before we put it in the oven, I tend to add banana chips. Oh dear, sorry. That's old Bertie the Bat, he's come in there for some reason. And banana chips, just place them on the top of your banana cake mix before it goes in the oven. And can be very random, it just looks nice and shows it's a banana cake rather than a lemon drizzle cake. And there we go. Now I must explain that Roger has been following the Commonwealth Games, and he followed the Olympics back in 2012, and he's a great fan of Tom Daley. So he's actually taken up diving. Now we don't have a diving board in our garden or a swimming pool, but what we do have is a large bowl of flour. So here comes Roger, who's a bit heavier. So, you ready, Roger? Now, that wasn't very funny, Roger, because the flour has gone everywhere and you've got me in trouble because my wife will go mad. It's all over the floor, but at least he had a good time. So he goes back in, he gets his bit of extras there. And I'm not sure where Mick's gone, but I think he's there. He can have some extras and lick the bowl. I've preheated the oven, 160. So that goes into the oven, and you put the timer on for 60 minutes. And there we are. Looks a bit of a disaster, in fact, because it hasn't risen at all. But it means that there's plenty of food for the little animals and the dog and the birds outside. I look forward to seeing you next time, when we'll probably try another cake, because this